How's it going, guys? This is Sir William of York, and welcome to the grind. So, what we're looking at here, we're trying to stick to a little bit of a process because we think that that's what got us in trouble before. We kind of deviated a little bit away from reviewing our games. We tilt queued, spammed. So right now we're actually at our peak rank ever, 133 LP Masters. We just played 3 games, and we'll take a look at them. The first one, I accidentally wasn't recording, so what'll happen is when I play ARAMs, I do an ARAM to warm up. I'll disable metal so I don't waste memory recording an ARAM. Um, and I forgot to enable it for this game, so for this game, we're actually just going to look at the replay file, but for the other two, we have POV VODs of them. Honestly, I don't know. There's some interesting stuff that happened in both of these two that I do kind of want to take a look at because I feel personally like the game, like if I had made a different decision in the early game in this game, it would have been a lot easier, but let's get into the details. Alright, so quick rundown of this game. We got kind of dominated in the 1v1 a little bit, and I think we made some really bad micro decisions on early game skirmishes that cost us it made the game a lot harder than it needed to be, honestly. We do end up winning this game. We have a pretty significant comeback. Kind of powered by me hitting 16. Our top lane was pretty fed, and Viego is just really good at turning around lost games by getting 1 or 2 good possessions. So we'll take a look at what goes wrong here. Okay, so this is a little bit of a yikes. So what's happening here is Annie is holding her stun. I think the best play is to try and walk up before the minions get low so I can burn stun. So her CC can't prevent me from doing the minions, right? The other thing that goes on here is I don't block any damage here. So I just looked it up and my Q range is actually 25 more than her Q range, so there's absolutely zero reason that I shouldn't be able to get Q off. I thought it was shorter range for some reason, but no, it's actually longer. So yeah, I basically take a bunch of damage here and I get 1 out of the 3 CS. So something happens here that I think I go down a lot of CS in this lane. Like at one point I think I was 50 CS down. Part of it is I missed some free minions. The Annie was very good at last hitting. This is also part of the reason. So one thing I kind of do is when she has her stun up, my brain goes don't engage, but she's not going to randomly burn her stun on minions because she knows how to last hit, except in that situation because she wanted to secure the cannon. So I just let her zone me from a lot of free CS when I could walk up, burn the stun, and then use the window of her cooldowns being down. You know, I'm going to take damage, but I'm going to take damage no matter what in this lane. So yeah, that's not the greatest. Now that being said, once we get level 6, the lane gets a lot better. We're going to take some damage, it's just the nature of the matchup. But generally speaking, you want to trade to get her low and probably burn her ult to prevent her from blowing the game up. That's how I perceive the matchup to be, right? Because what she's going to want to do, see she ults me, and I do survive. Unfortunately, I burned my flash. I probably shouldn't have ulted that one last time. I should have just continued to chunk her out by ult EQing, but now she doesn't have ult for, I don't know, like 80 seconds? 2 minutes, wow, it's a longer CD than I thought. And that's a big part of Annie's power budget. The result of this play too, just to show you, I do lose a couple minions, but we're able to get her killed and get some gold on our teammates. Not the greatest, not generally how you want to play. The lane's in a little bit of a rough spot. I think we're able to catch up on farm in the mid game. Definitely missing some CS in the early game. I think a big part of it was just me kind of over respecting her stun, right? Like, what's the worst case scenario? She stuns me, I get a little bit chunked, I was getting chunked anyway. So because Annie died that one time, she lost tempo, I got to push in mid-wave, and I got to come clean up this kill bot lane, and so we get a free random kill. So even though this game's a little bit chaotic, we're actually in a really good spot. This game starts off very good, and then it very quickly goes to shit. Okay, so I don't hate this decision, because I think I lost vision of Nautilus, and I saw him walking towards mid lane, right? But what I do here is I give the cannon, I guess Nautilus shows on vision right there. I'm kind of in a situation where, like, I definitely could die there if Nautilus was mid. I just don't really have any aggressive vision. But we see Nautilus show bot lane, so I do that. Now, this tilted me off the face of the earth, honestly. So, you see how low she is? Our jungler goes top lane to help fight, which I guess it's not the end of the world. I should have just accepted reality. I can still dive her solo. I'm just thinking like this is an absolutely free kill if she overstays. And then Volibear comes. Now, how much? There's a real argument to just ulting on her. Now, I think it's very possible she lives on 1 HP because she's gonna instantly get her stun up. Now, I die to Tibbers if I push this wave. I think anyway. I think I die to Tibbers if I push that wave. So it's a little bit scuffed situation in the mid lane. Gets a free base off that. Honestly, looking at the first 10 minutes, I mean, we're down a kill, so we're effectively down like 20 CS. We're even overall in gold, but he's 1k up on me, holy crap. We're down a ridiculous amount of CS. I think I just over-respected her stun, honestly. Like, it is something to be wary of, but it's not something that you need to lose a wave for. Now, if we lost this game, this would have been the game-losing play. So what happens is I come off a base. I don't know why we ever go for this, because we know their bot lane's coming up. They're on Dragon, so it's a very strange play to go for. But just showing it real quick. I'm just waiting for my cooldowns. I should have probably flashed E right there. She's at what? 173. My E is going to do like 262, I think even through magic resist, because her E's definitely, yeah, her E's on cooldown. So I give her time to get her cooldowns back and have someone rotate, but I figure I'm kind of dead here anyway, which I'm honestly not. I could have just kited out this way. I probably would have been fine. And then I have the worst ult flash of my life, and I die. Alright, so this is 100% an end of review. Arguably, it should have been earlier with how fucked the lane was, but this is like 1000% end of review. Okay, we're playing Cho'Gath. Let me show the team comps. We're playing Cho'Gath, Kassadin versus Cho'Gath, right? Apparently a bunch of people in this game were friends with each other, so like this guy's friends with this guy, and this guy knew someone else, so that was kind of funny. This guy's a Cho'Gath mid player. Cho'Gath mid is really strong, but I actually think it's a very good Kassadin matchup because it's very difficult for him to kill you. One consideration that I kind of want to try in this matchup is going 1 movement speed shard in the, what tree is it? The stat shard for movement speed, just because this matchup is all about dodging his Qs, right? If he can't hit Qs on you, he can never kill you. If he lands Qs on you consistently, you're going to lose the lane. That's all it is. You can't really kill him either. Maybe if you take Conqueror or something and you really seriously outplay him or he misplays, but honestly, it's very difficult to get him low enough to kill because he'll just heal himself off the wave. Cho'Gath's passive gives him so much sustain. So I don't believe anything happens level 1. Early lane, we do pretty good dodging the Qs. We get hit by 1, where I'm just like, oh shit. But generally speaking, it's one of the abilities that's easier to dodge. I don't know if we have a movement speed stat chart, if that changes that. That's what I mean. So his play pattern is he'll Q you, walk up, use his Hail of Blades with his 3 autos, and then run away. You could see that trade messed us up real good. But yeah, you have to play predictively. He has to think about where I'm going to, because I think you could... It's just such a hard ability to land. Like, you can see how I generally think about dodging it is I just start walking in a random direction, and then as soon as I see him cast the animation, I'll change direction. So you could see here, he's looking to trade on the back half. I see him start the animation, I just start walking forward. He tanks minions, but it doesn't matter. Literally every minion he kills gives him like 20 HP, which is crazy. If they were to nerf anything about Cho'Gath, I think it would be his passive sustain, personally. And maybe his Q mana cost. I feel like for the amount he can spam it, the ability does too much without him building mana. Honestly, if I were to take away one thing from this game, so like I said, we ended up winning and I kind of carried this game pretty hard, it would be this play. So off of this play, the Cho'Gath gets very fed. So what happens here is I didn't feel confident going for this. I didn't actually check items, but I felt like we had been on the map for a long time, specifically in the Gwen and specifically the Gwen. She was like our strongest member. I guess she just gets 6 off this too. I so should have followed this. This is like such a game-losing play. We would have been late on it, but I remember looking and I'm like, wow, they live for a long time. They get really low. I 100%, even at this point, like I could have considered TPing here and it would have been decent. And yeah, we're able to get a couple plates mid, but we kind of trade 2 for 2 bot lane when it very easily could have been a winning play. And then the Mbessa and the Cho'Gath swap, which I'm fine with because Mbessa can't really kill us unless we're stupid. And then there's one more play that happens where the Mbessa, someone gets really fed. Yeah, Nautilus is mid. And I'm just gonna go push mid lane. I don't entirely understand. I guess kill XP is a lot. It's crazy taunt. Should I have gone in? I probably should have been with my team here. I was thinking I want to get 9 first because I'm down a level, but you can see they're all super low. And then there's this. Oh my god, this is such a grief. I missed my E. So I see her use her W, and I'm like, well, that's a kill. Which it is, if I land my E. That was a terrible mistake. And then I think we go get a kill. Yeah, we killed him here. So the Cho'Gath just pieces out because he's like, well, we're not winning this. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaways are I probably should have followed that Cho'Gath roam because there's nothing you can do in the 1v1. And then I should have probably been with my team a little bit sooner. If I got a couple more ults off here, I think we wiped them, honestly. They all stacked up so nicely. Okay, so for game 3, we're playing Kassadin versus LeBlanc. It's like one of my favorite. It's a very OG Kassadin matchup. It's a great counter. The only thing you really have to be worried about is inting pre-6 and the jungle matchup, basically. In terms of roots, I just go first strike in this matchup. There's definitely a real argument for going Electrocute Resolve secondary. I think that's perfectly fine too, because what you can do early game is it's very hard to get all of these off in time, but when she QWs you, if you QWE her, it procs Electrocute, and it's basically an even trade, right? I prefer First Strike because it just helps you get your items, but it's a preference thing. Now, the only thing you want to be wary of is the jungler in this matchup, and Kindred is definitely a high threat jungler. Real quick, but this is kind of how you want to use your caster minions level 1 in early game as Kassadin. You kind of want to use them like your pretend auto attack. So what happens is the caster minions are between me and LeBlanc. LeBlanc wants to do an auto to harass me, right? And every caster auto attack I think does like 20 damage, and I think they're 1 attack per second. So you can think of 3 casters as 60 attacks, 60 damage per second basically. So she just got a trade onto me. It was a pretty good trade. And what happens is after that she walks up to auto and she takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she takes about 140 or something minion damage before armor and stuff. and because of that, the trade ends up being completely even overall. So this is kind of what I mean. You're going to have a bad time last hitting under tower with the Blanc pre-6. She's going to do some damage to you. You just got to soak it up, eat as much as you can. Once you get your Roa, and even Catalyst, it gets a lot better because you're basically just a little bit tankier and you can out-sustain her and play a War of Attrition. Now this gank is a disaster for my lane, unless he's trying to push out with me. What ends up happening here is I should have pinged back more aggressively. I think I pinged like once, but we just can't ever kill her, and if Kindred is mid and we fight this, we get 2v2 killed, right? Now, what ends up happening is Xin shows on mid, our bot's pushed in, mid's pushed in, so he tries to cross into her jungle, which kind of is what it is. I think probably he should have gone top instead of coming mid, because it's a volatile melee matchup. This is split map, and our bot lane's coming out of base. Which, I don't know, I'm not Xin, I don't want to focus too much on him. In terms of me, nothing's changed. I like putting a couple extra points in Q in this matchup, just because it makes it really unplayable for her, because you block so much of her damage. This is not how you want to trade on the Blanc, so what she does is she walks up and just naked Qs me. What I've been doing, instead of trying to hit the wave, I've just been hitting LeBlanc because my wave is pushing out, so that way she gets low, and if she tries to fight me in the big wave, I have enough of an HP advantage to crash it. So I've literally just been spamming Qs on her. As LeBlanc, you never want to trade Q for Q with Kassadin unless there's follow-up damage. Because we're able to stay for a little bit longer, we get a much better first base. And from this point on, we're pretty strong. Obviously, if we straight up all in LeBlanc, she's a little bit stronger than we are just by nature of her champion. But in terms of itemization, we're basically exactly on par with each other, because she started pots and had to get a refillable, so her slight CS lead doesn't really mean much. Yeah. So you can see here, even though we're even, in the sense of like, I'm pretty even with the Blanc itemization, our jungler is a level down, and he has much worse itemization at this point. They're contesting grubs. We have our Thresh here. I don't know where Milio is. I didn't see on the map. So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to contest it unless we can get a pick. What we end up doing, so I pop my Adaptive Force pot, which is it really helps in these skirmishes. And I think we get a shutdown on Kindred because for some reason she goes back in when she was completely out. Now we just want to ult away and be safe, but we're able to trade jungler for jungler basically. And then I think we get another kill actually. Yep. So that's huge, because our top lane was able to rotate first, we're able to pick up another kill. And we're in a really good spot this game. It's almost, I mean, the game's still losable, it's always losable, but it's almost end of review because we're getting so far ahead. So this is a fun thing to do sometimes. LeBlanc doesn't have the greatest wave clear unless she uses her ultimate on the wave. I kind of overstayed on the map after all of these plays, so I'm thinking I want to base and get Catalyst. Catalyst really affects the matchup a lot, and it lets you kind of play a War of Attrition versus a LeBlanc, right? So what I'm thinking is I can basically just trade HP with her and prevent her from roaming, and then get my base off. So that way, because what'll happen if I get the gold for Catalyst and then I immediately base? I don't actually know. I don't think I go Catalyst. I think I go Tier Rod. But either way, if I immediately base, it just gives her free reign to do whatever the hell she wants on the map, and she can go terrorize a side lane, which isn't... That's basically how we lose to LeBlanc, if she gets too ahead off sides. Alright, this is kind of an interesting sequence of events. So our bot lane this game is pretty strong. I see them diving, and there's part of me that just wants to directly go to the play. Now I can't really push mid-wave because mid-wave's not there yet, so what I do is I go this way, and then I'm thinking, I'm going to zone LeBlanc from the play. Now the really dangerous situation is this is suddenly a 5v4 because their Sion TP'd. That was a big theme of this game. The Darius actually got very ahead off of it, but it made it so we almost threw this game. Instead, what we do is we push mid, so the wave crashes, it's pushing to us, and then we go to defend the jungle from Kindred. I think we're able... Oh, I didn't even see LeBlanc TP top. That's huge. I believe we're able to get at least one kill here. Yeah. I should have ult flashed. Should have ult flashed right there. So that way we can secure the kill. I was being really greedy. Now I go mid, I catch the wave. And honestly, this game is just in a really good spot. There was never a point where I was worried about losing this game, I don't think. I'm just trying to think. Oh, here. This was almost a throw, actually. I lied. So I'm not trying to actually kill her. What I'm trying to do is harass her a little bit. Now, what happens is they go a little bit psycho mode for me, and I think I live on 1 HP. No, I die. Damn. I was one ult stack away, and I kind of into shutdown. Thankfully, the Scion gets it. But that's actually potentially a huge play. That's an end of review, honestly. Dying like that was just so stupid. This skirmish is so... we don't even need to fight here because it's a 5v4. The Scion really caught me off guard. He's playing very heavily for his bot lane and they're still losing, which is a little bit of an L. They take a lot of free damage. I don't think I need to ult in here. I think that's so stupid. And then we trade. Yeah, I think this is probably end of review for me.
Okay, so we actually ended up playing one more game after 3 block. And in our last game, I think this will be pretty important to go over. So our ADC switch with us gave us mid lane because he was very nice. We actually have Fog, Tryndamere on our team. He ended up carrying the game. And without him, this game would have been really hard. We almost griefed the game away. So the matchup mid lane is we're against Zac mid. Honestly, I think Zac mid is very good into us. He has Ignite. He has a lot of kill pressure. It's very difficult for us to kill him. I like to take first strike in these matchups. There's an argument for Conqueror because eventually late game there's a chance we can kill him. In extended fights, can't really do that with first strike. We have to kind of chip away at him. But I like to take first strike to just help me scale. Something else I've actually just considered is I think this is one of the matchups where there's a real argument for taking Fleet Footwork. In the future, I may try it. I don't think it's going to be enough to match his sustain, but it gives you some sort of sustain to keep up with him, right? The issue you run into against Zac is he just, even if you take even trades with him, he just sustains back up, and Fleet Footwork gives you a little bit of in-combat sustain. Okay, we're in a little bit of a tough spot. We kind of hit the wave a little bit too much, and now the wave's pushing away from us. Zac has a lot of gank setup, and they have a Taliyah jungle. So you'll see right here, we kind of have the wave frozen on us. We know this is a gank timer for Taliyah, so this is not the point where we want to walk up. I'm just thinking I want to use my abilities on the wave and try and get it under tower. That was a little bit greedy by me. I mean, the good thing is Zac doesn't have E yet. He has Q and W, right? But because of this, you'll see what happens. We kind of bait our team into taking a losing fight, right? We use all of our damage on Zac, and he still has his passive. Now, I do something super stupid, and Zac lives on 1 HP. I'm pretty sure I knew they had vision in that brush, because I saw them ward at some point. I thought I did. But yeah, we do end up winning this game, but this is very clearly an end of review mistake. We force our team into taking a disadvantaged fight. We also have the wave frozen on us. Zac pushes it, which ends up being good for us because we can TP back and freeze and deny him a wave. But yeah, we put our team in a terrible position after this. Now, thankfully, Fog carries and absolutely 1v9s this game. But without that, this game would have been so difficult for me to do anything in.